Tracy Matson. I'm a certified professional dog trainer and certified behavior consultant. And I'm excited to be here. I say this every week, but this is my favorite thing to do. I'm looking for my stuff to take down names. Oh, there it is. Because we're going to do a drawing. Oh, I need to turn the chat on. Okay. So if this is your first time joining, please put your name and what state or country you're from so I can enter you into the drawing. Just because on my end, it just comes up Facebook user. So I need to know where you're from. Unless you're a regular, what I call a regular, I know where you're from. So you don't have to put it down. Hey, Brian. Speaking of regulars, let's see, we're in July. I think the day's the 13th. So Brian, we have Brian and Brian. Brian Moreland, one of my friends just got back from Montana. He was there for a week looking, like scouting out some land. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Renee. He eventually, right now, he lives up on the mountain in a year-round cabin, but was looking at some like 20-acre lots, like off the grid, which would be really, really cool. I couldn't do it like by myself. Carla from New York, welcome. We have somebody new. I do love my weekly regulars, though. I call you guys my Pupford family. But I always love it when new people come on, too. Okay, so we've got Illinois, Montana, Oklahoma, and New York. Okay. So, do you guys have any questions? I have to tell you what I did this week, which, if you knew me, you would know that this was the most amazing thing in the entire world, next to dog training. But my other computer, like about Saturday, it was slowing down. It wasn't working. It would freeze. And I thought it was my internet connection. Tried using a hotspot, went next door to use their internet. And I got to the point where I literally was going to take my computer and throw it against a tree. Now, I knew that my computer was getting older, so I bought a refurbished Mac, and it had come, but I was waiting for that same friend who's an IT person. He was in Montana, so I was waiting for him to come back to set it up for me because I know nothing about that stuff. But by Saturday, he was supposed to come home Sunday. By Saturday, I couldn't work. Like, it was so frustrating. My computer would just not work. And so I actually got it out of the box. I went to YouTube and I figured it out, and I actually did it. So I'm on my new refurbished computer. And can you guys tell that the camera is better? Because it's usually dark and I can never get it to lighten up. So it was probably my computer. But for me, who is very tech challenged, it was actually not as easy as I thought, or not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And I was able to set everything up. And it's kind of cool when you, my brother's an IT person as well, but he's in Virginia. So he actually told me to back everything up and then load it onto my new computer. But on YouTube, they recommended backing everything up to iCloud and then logging in. And I did that, and everything was like magically there, and it was amazing. So, so things are good. Have a new computer. Can't afford a brand new one, but I've heard these refurbished ones are really good. So, this one will work. As with all of my water bottles, I have like 6, and my computers, I always put stickers on them: Pitbull stickers, nature stickers, um, dog stickers. So I have I've been like outfitting my new computer with stickers, which is fun. I'm waiting for some to come in the mail because I tried to take the other ones off, but they didn't come off very good. So we get new stickers. Um, and the other huge thing, I will tell you a little bit of personal stuff. My mom came up today. I bought my mom a facial for Mother's Day, and so she came up today. I live about an hour from my mom, and my mom like has the most beautiful yard and beautiful garden. And so she came up and we planted flowers today. So we added a little bit of beauty to my house, and oh, let's see, what else was I going to tell you about that? Um, there was a purpose. Oh, yeah. Um, but I will tell you that the one thing that I will never live without, I will go without food first before I will go without my cleaning lady, because I work 6 days a week, and I have 3 dogs and a cat, and I live in the mountains where it is always dirty or muddy. But she just left about a half hour ago, so my whole house smells like really clean. Love it when she leaves. Um, so it's a good day. And Brian has a question. Awesome. My Patter Jack boy hates to be physically moved. He'll move when it's his idea, but if it is not his idea, he goes all vicious. We call it going Norman. Okay, so, um, and then how do we get Finn past this phase? Hi, Matthew. Let me put Matthew down. So when you say Finn, oh, wait, Finn's the dog's name, right? Okay. Um, let me, Matt. Matthew, if I remember right, you're from Canada? Not 100% sure. I can look. I can go back to, I know that I have your name in my pile of names that I use. So, okay. Yes, because I remember that I had never heard of a Patter Jack Terrier. And so I looked it up. Um, so when I went to rescue, my very first case was a little Chihuahua that would not move out of he had his little pen area, and he wouldn't move off of his bed, and he would like literally show teeth and leap at the staff and try to bite them. And so my very first day full time, I had been like sort of part time, sort of volunteering up until then. They're like, hey, we can't clean Buster's kennel because we can't get him out of his kennel or off his bed. So I went over and I just put a slip lead on, and I brought him to the back into the training area, and I taught him to hand target. So that is literally like having him touch his nose to my hand. If you need me to demo that, let me know, and I'll grab Jade and show you how I teach it. So I first taught him how to hand target, and then I grabbed his bed and we practiced having him move off of his bed for a hand target. So with him, it wasn't so much that I was trying to move him or do something he didn't want to do. Instead, he was making the choice to move, and it's like, oh, if I go touch your hand, I get a reward. So it actually worked, and the staff could then, open his kennel area and say, Buster, touch. And he would come and touch, and then they could put like a slip lead on him, lead him out, and clean his kennel. So I love hand targeting in that it kind of gives the dog a job. So instead of like, oh my gosh, they're trying to move me and I don't want to be moved, it's, oh, I go touch their hand and I get a reward. So it becomes like a behavior that they do. I would do that for now. Perfect. So you already know the hand target. Um, I would do I would do that and practice sometimes for a while, like, do touch and then let Finn go back to what he was doing. So, like, if he's on the couch, ask him to touch, then he gets to go back on the couch, so that he doesn't think that, okay, they're tricking me and he's going to have me hand target, but then he's going to put me somewhere else. Um, so this way, it is his idea because he's hand targeting, and also I would have really high value treats so that he wants to move and touch your hand, um, and get the treat, and then you can reward him and then let him go back to doing what he was doing. But then sometimes if you have to move him, then you can. Um, so my other question would be, can you like pick him up if you want to pick him up? Can you do that without him getting vicious? If not, then I would start doing some low stress handling, which can take some time, but you basically give your dog a start and a stop cue. And so we do what's called the bucket game, and you can find this on YouTube. If you type in the bucket game with Chirag Patel, I will put his name. His channel is called Domesticated Manners. Okay, I just put that in the chat. So, oh, Ohio. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking Canada. I know there's somebody that gets on all the time that is from Canada. So, and I think that's a Matthew too, if I remember right. Okay. Anyway, so Brian, if you look up the bucket game with Chirag Patel, I actually started like typing up all of the sequence on how to do it, and I just haven't finished it yet. But basically, you teach your dog a stop and go or a start and stop. So when they look at the cup or the bucket, um, every time they look at the cup, they get a treat. And then you start to like move your hand towards them and treat. If they look away from the bucket, that means stop. So they learn that, you start reaching, and if the dog looks away to look at your hand, you just stop. So the dog learns that they have choice and control, and that when they're comfortable, that means go. And first you just reach for them, and then you can touch them. So we do this stuff with like grooming, um, vet stuff like eye drops, ear drops, nail trims. You can basically teach your dog. It's kind of like when you go to the dentist. At least my dentist says, if you feel pain, raise your hand and I'll stop. So I know, okay, if it hurts, he'll stop. Rather than him saying, okay, you're just going to have to endure this. I'm sorry it's going to hurt, but just suck it up. So the dog learns that he has choice and control, and that you will stop if he's not comfortable. And he gets rewarded when he lets you do it. So it's awesome. And your start and stop can be any site. Sometimes they will have a dog stand on a frisbee, or chin rest, or there's lots of different things that you can use. But I just like I like holding the cup because to me it's the easiest. But yeah, you could do like a chin rest on a pillow. And so when the dog's chin is rested, then you can touch them, touch their ears, touch their eyes. If they move their head from off the pillow, then that means stop, and then you just stop. So I would start with the hand targeting, but then in the meantime, I would start working on that bucket game with Finn, so that then he has choice and control, and we're pairing like handling and moving and touching with really yummy treats. So he learns like, oh, I love it when this happens because I get treats. Because we always want it to be positive and fun and rewarding for the dog. Okay, Facebook user. If you want to give me your name and where you're from, I can enter you in the drawing. In the meantime, this could be Carla too. It just comes up Facebook user. So, okay, new puppy owner here. He is a 9-week-old lab. I got him a couple of days ago. I am crate and potty training him. Crate is being good so far. Potty is good too, since I keep taking out and rewarding him almost every 2 hours. You know what? That's great. So how long until he's fully potty trained? So, so the more consistent you are and the more you do that, the faster that he will get potty trained. A dog is not considered potty trained until they can go 1 month without an accident. However, the more that he learns that routine, and remember, dogs like predictability and structure. If those of you that come every week know that I always harp on predictability and structure. So, and I see that. So he'll let you know when it's time to go outside, which is perfect. So he's already letting you know, which is great. So as long as you follow through, let him go outside, reward him for going outside, then he should get, potty trained a lot quicker. Then, puppies, I have a couple clients with puppies and they will let their dog run around the house. They don't watch them, don't supervise them. And if they don't catch it when their dog needs to go out, then they potty in the house. And then it just takes longer for the dog to learn what they need to do, which is go outside and go potty. So it sounds like you're on the right track and you're doing great. So just keep that up. I have some, and that's really, for 9 weeks old, that's awesome. Some clients have to take their dog out like every 45 minutes to an hour, because the dog goes more often. And then as long as I like to say generally take your puppy out first thing in the morning, 20 minutes after feeding, after a nap, after a play session, after a training session, because the more active your dog is, the more they're going to have to go potty. So, and then I think in the summer, just because it's hot, they drink more, they need to go out more. So it sounds like you're on the right track and you're doing great. So just keep it up. And when I have puppy board and train here, I can tell you that when there's been an accident, it's because I haven't been paying attention. And sometimes I will tether a dog to me, but they like to play with my dogs, and so I'll be working and the dogs are on here playing, and then I have to pay attention, because then if the puppy kind of starts wandering away and out of sight, then I know, oh, this dog probably needs to go potty. And so I pay more attention, because that's part of what they're paying me to do, is potty train their dog. So when there have been accidents, it's because I didn't catch it. So now I pay attention to what they're doing, if they're playing, if they're doing whatever. And then as soon as they start to like stop playing and wander off, then I take them out. And 9 times out of 10, they have to go potty. And then I reward them for going potty. So yeah, just keep it up. Hey, Anita. Oh, Anita, I bet it's hot where you are. It's hot where I am, and I'm up in the mountains. Okay, Matthew, I was wondering, I've been working on recall mastery. I'm stuck on level 3.4. I work a lot of hours. I've been doing a sit-stay, out of sight with distractions. There are days I will train, then don't train for 4 days. What should I do to get... So I am not familiar with the Recall Mastery. So I'm not sure which program that is from Pupford. I will look it up though. Um, and I would just say, even if I work a lot of hours too, which is why my own dogs are not really well trained, they're getting there. It's taken me twice as long to train Jade to be a service dog because by the time I get home, um, I am too tired to train. But if I can even do 5 to 10 minutes a day, that's better than nothing. And and sometimes one thing I noticed when I was training my search and rescue dog, we would train one day, and I would get frustrated because the dog, like Dakota, wasn't doing what I needed him to do. I was getting frustrated. So I gave him a break for like a day or two. And then when we went back to it, he was even better. So it's kind of like sometimes we need a break and sometimes they need a break. So don't beat yourself up if you miss a couple days. And then one thing that I do is, since one of my dogs is a fence jumper, when she's out in the yard, I actually go out with the dogs. So I'll take work out there, I'll go read. Um, and every time she starts to run back to me, I say, Jade, come. And then I reward her for coming. So I just keep treats on me and I'm still getting stuff done. The dogs are out playing, but every time she comes back to check in or she starts to run towards me, I will use that as a recall exercise and just reinforce her for coming back to me and checking in. Um, and Matthew, I'll have to look and see how the scoring is. Like, here, I'm going to make myself a note. Because I know you were saying before you were working on Recall Mastery. And I did do a recall video for them for Pupford, but I don't think it was turned into like a Recall Mastery. So on those 4 days that you can't train, even if you can do something little, like do 2 recalls on a long line, just to reinforce that, come to me and then you get rewarded. And like, you know, I I know, with females at night, we like wash our face and put moisturizer on, brush our teeth, stuff like that. So stuff that you're going to do anything, like, let's say you're going to go and brush your teeth. You could put your dog in a sit stay, walk into the bathroom, brush your teeth, and then call your dog. So that would be like a 1 minute out of sight stay. So things that you're going to just do anyway, like put your dog in a sit stay, go get breakfast or the dog's breakfast, and then release with a recall and then feed your dog. Just so it's like always rewarding, and it's something small that you can do every single day just in your everyday routine. So you don't really have to carve out extra time to train. Um, I have a little jar of treats upstairs in my bathroom because I'm teaching Jade how to pick stuff up for me. And so rather than carrying a treat bag like all the time, especially when I'm getting ready for bed, I can practice upstairs and I have treats already upstairs, and treats downstairs. So that way I don't have to worry about, oh crap, she just did something really good and I don't have treats handy. I have them all over the house. Out of reach, but I can still reward when I need to. And I will look up that Recall Mastery. And also, Matthew, if you want to like private message me or email me, Tracy@pupford.com. That way, when I do find out, I can just email you if I have any other ideas on how to get that 23 out of 25. Okay. Okay, Brian, sometimes I can pick him up, usually when I get home from work. Yeah. So I would start working on that, the hand targeting, and then start working on the low stress handling. There's also a really good book. I know it's called Low Stress Handling and Cooperative Care. Let me just on Amazon really quick and I'll tell you who it's by. Um, wow, it's not on here. Where did I get mine? Okay, let me put in the cooperative care. That's so weird. It's not available from Amazon. So if I didn't get it from Amazon, I probably got it from Dogwise, which is dog and then WISE. Let's see if mine's over here. You know what else you could do? Anyway, there's a really good book. It's called Low Stress Handling and Cooperative Care. Look on Dogwise. I didn't see it on Amazon. Doing some T-touch. Linda Tellington originally developed this for horses and then does it with dogs. And it's just using pressure points, increases blood flow, but it's like a massage for your dog. And I bet if you started to do some like really good massage with Finn, then he might like being touched, like being picked up, things like that, because we would be pairing like being touched and picked up with something really nice that feels good. So um Brian, if you want to email me as well, I will look for my low stress handling book. I think it's over under the coffee table, but I don't want to take time to go try and find it. But I can take a picture of it and send it to you, or I can find out who it's by. But I went through that, and that and Shirag Patel's Bucket Game, they're pretty much my go-to for everything with dogs that don't like to be picked up and touched. So, and I had one of those. My dog Piglet was really abused before I got him, and he did not like to be handled. And unfortunately, he passed away before I was able to learn a lot about cooperative care. He's actually the reason that I started doing low stress handling and teaching dogs cooperative care, because he hated being examined or touched, or I could pick him up, but he didn't like his butt touched, his feet, like nothing. So that it's this stuff is really good. So I would check that out. Jennifer from Indiana, we add you. We got some new people on here tonight. I'm excited. Lexi. Kristen. Oh, maybe 5:30 is the key. True. The only accident he had, it was when I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, me too. And I mean, I do this for a living, but sometimes when I'm working and I hear the dogs playing, I'm not always paying attention. So then I know that I've got to step it up, um, and pay more attention. So yes, I bet it's hot. Oh my gosh, 100 or more here in Arkansas. I mean, it's probably 80 outside, but down in the city where my mom lives, it will be over 100. And we're usually 10 degrees cooler. Um, but yeah, it's been like I'll go out to sit with the dogs and I can last like 10 or 15 minutes and then I got to come in and cool off. I have a pool out there for the dogs, but yeah, it's really hot. I'm one of those that I like the cold. So you can always put more layers on, but there's only so much you can take off. When my one of my good friends used to live here, she had a big pool in her yard and we lived at that pool. Just like laying in it, soaking in it. Too bad I couldn't work in there because I would have been in there all day long. But she moved and her pool went with her. So she's talking about moving back though, and I'm like, "Yep, come back, bring your pool." Oh, Catahoula Energy, yeah. So the other day, I took Maddie and Jade to the canal, just because it was hot, and I wanted Maddie. So Maddie's 11. She's my 11-year-old pit bull, and she's got some medical problems. So she goes in once a month for blood work, and so every time we go to get in the car, she's kind of like, "Oh man, we're going to the vet," and she doesn't want to go. She's almost 60 pounds, so I have to put a leash on her, and then she'll go, but kind of grudgingly. So I wanted her to know that every time we go in the car, it's not bad. She can't go hiking and stuff anymore. She's got an autoimmune disorder, so she gets tired quickly, and she's got back and hip and front shoulder issues. So, she doesn't go on a lot of the fun outings. But anyway, so I took them to the canal and let them swim and get in the water and cool off. So that was really nice, which was good for Jade because Jade has energy like a Catahoula, let me tell you. Okay. Also for crate training, I read that every time he takes a nap, I need to put him in his crate. Yeah, I mean, you can just so that you can tell when he wakes up and then put him outside. That will help with crate training. Um, and it's up to you whether you close the door or not. If you're around, because because right when they wake up, a lot of times when they wake up, they're going to need to potty. So if you're there and you know when he wakes up so that you can take him right out, then you're probably good. Um, but just know that when he wakes up, he's going to need to go potty. So if you're not supervising or you're going to be busy, then I would shut the door so that then you can hear when he wakes up and he might start to whine or bark. And then for that, I don't wait for them to be quiet because they're saying, "Hey, I'm awake and I got to go potty." So then I'll open the gate, the crate, and say, "Okay, come on, let's go potty." So I do that when I have board and train dogs here. I do have them sleep in a crate, but if I'm just here working and the dogs are like taking a nap on the cool floor, I won't wake a puppy up to put him in their crate. For one thing, the hard floor is cooler for them, so I just let them stay there. But I'm right here too, so I know when they wake up. Um, Deb, Nicole, that might be the one. Deb Jones. That sounds familiar. Maybe I got the title wrong. Let me just put this in. Deb. Oh, it's because I had the title wrong. Nicole, you're amazing. This is the book. Cooperative Care. 7 Steps to Stress-Free Husbandry. Deborah Jones. Yep, that's the one. Thank you, Nicole. There's another one by, I think, Sophia Yin that might be called Low Stress Handling and Cooperative Care. but it's more for like veterinary staff and things like that. But I really like this one. So there you go. I knew I got it on Amazon. I get everything on Amazon. Julie. Let me put Julie down. Haven't seen Julie in a while. Okay, Brian. Digging is now a problem. I turned my head for 10 seconds and Peyton dug a hole. I'm keeping her on a lead because her recall is so bad, off lead, and takes 15 minutes to catch her. She thinks it's a game. Yes. So this is what I do for digging. I have one little spot in the yard where my dogs are allowed to dig. One reason that they like to dig, my dogs are pit bulls, and so because they're terriers and they like to dig for varmint, and I don't want them killing them, but as long as they're digging in the ground, they kind of stay away. And my dogs have caught mice like underground, which is great because that means they're not going to come in the house, and I hate mice. So I give them a spot where they're allowed to dig. And the other thing, the reason I like to dig, especially in the summer, is I notice like my dogs will dig up the dirt and then they roll in it and it cools them off. Or they'll dig and then they'll lay in it because, again, it cools them off. So I give them one spot to dig. If they start digging in another spot, I'll say, hey, let's go over to your spot. And then I take them over to the one spot where they are allowed to dig. So it's kind of like a sandbox for a kid. You know, just give them their little digging spot. Another one that you can do is a kiddie pool. Let me see if I can find a picture. We did a post on this. So let me see if I can find the post. It's an older one. So we got a kiddie pool and filled it with plastic balls and like that. So this is just a little swimming pool. Fill it with plastic balls. I think all of these balls, for 250 balls, it's like $10. And then we put in some treats and toys and allow the dog to dig. So they can dig through the balls. They can root around, hunt for food, hunt for toys, hunt for treats. And that kind of gives them that outlet to dig. So it depends on why they're digging. If they're digging because they want to cool off, then I would, give them a spot to dig in your yard. And the spot I have is not that big. It's big enough for Jay to like dig and then lay down and roll around. So she's like a 35-pound pitty mix. If they're digging for like enrichment, then you want an outlet for that. So that's where I would use the kiddie pool with the plastic balls. We did that at the rescue too for the small dogs, and they loved it. All the little chihuahuas and the small terriers were in there. They loved to go in with the balls and dig and play and root around. So you might try something like that as well. For a while, you'll have to teach Peyton like where you want her to dig, and you're smart for keeping her on a lead, because especially with recall, if she thinks it's a game, she's going to keep doing it. So yep, keeping her on a lead. And I would do a lot of like recall, reward, okay, go play, and then release her. Recall, reward, go play, so that it's not always negative when you call her. Okay. Jenny Brown. Jenny, if you want to remind me where you're from, I will add you in the drawing. Okay, I have a new 12-week-old likely Morkie mix. I also have a 12-year-old Yorkie Poo. How do you recommend doing feedings? Because inevitably they want to eat the other's food. Okay, what I do is I have a baby gate. It depends on how your house is set up. I have a baby gate that goes into the kitchen. And I have puppy board and trains here a lot. And my dogs would love to have puppy food. So I put the puppies in the kitchen with their food, and then I feed my guys. Now, sometimes, like last week, I had two puppies here. So I put them in the kitchen, let them stay there for a second while I fed my three. While my three are eating, I went back in, put their food down, and then I stood there and supervised because these two puppies weren't in the same household, so they were on different food. So I would put their food down, and then I would stand there while they ate, so that I could prevent them from eating the other's food. So if one would start to eat his food or leave his food and go towards the other dog, I would say, "Hey, back to your food," and and then I just kind of supervise until they get until your new one gets a little bit older and is on regular food, which is going to be a while if your dog's only 12 weeks old. So yeah, either separate them. You can put one in a totally different room, or you can stand there and supervise. Then that's what I would do. So, and then they eventually learn it. Like my guys now, they go to their spot. Like they know where they get fed, so they go to their spot and they eat, and then they don't go to each other's food because they know better. Because they all will just kind of like growl if another dog comes near their food. That's another reason why I put puppies in the kitchen behind a baby gate, because I don't want them going up to my dogs while they're eating. My dogs won't hurt them, but they will growl like, "This is my food, back away." And so I just don't even let that happen. I just separate them. Um, okay. Jenny, I am training my 4-month-old puppy to use potty bells. Um, and he's picking it up quick. Awesome. That's great. I had somebody, it was puppy class. So puppy class Monday night, we were talking about potty training, and um, the dog is starting to alert that he needs to go out, but he's scratching on the door, and they don't want him scratching on the door. So I recommended using potty bells. So he just touches it with his nose or his paw. So that's awesome that he's picking it up quick. I use uh, hand targeting a lot for that. So I'll put the bells up and then put my hand behind the bells and say touch. And then when they go to touch the bell that's over my hand, it rings it, and then we go out and go potty. Water in my pool. Oh, water in your pool is in the 90s. Wow. That would even be almost too hot to like get in. Jacqueline's it was just right. It was between 70 and 80, but at least we could get in and cool off. But yeah, even if the water is hot, it's not like nice to get in and just cool off. Fiorella, let me add you. Oh, English Shepherd and Aussie Doodle mix. That's awesome. I would love to see a picture. I don't know if there's a way that you guys can post pictures on here. If not, you can. I posted my email. You can email me. Okay, Fiorella, how can I teach my dog to be tolerant and calm in situations where he is uncomfortable? For example, if a dog comes out of nowhere and starts sniffing and licking my dog, and he is visibly uncomfortable, I want to be able to have some time to look for the owner and get him to call his dog without my dog giving him a correction. That is a great question. So, first, remember that if your dog gives a correction, it's not always a bad thing. Um, it's basically saying, excuse me, I don't want you to sniff my butt, or I don't want you to lick me. That would be like if a total stranger came up and tried to give you a kiss, you'd be like, hey, dude, like, what are you doing? Stop. And that's all your dog's doing when he's giving a correction. So you want to make sure not to correct your dog for doing that, because he's just being a dog and telling the other dog you're being rude. But you can call your dog away. So I'm assuming that your dog is on a leash. One thing you can do is, if you know that your dog is going to be uncomfortable when a loose dog comes up and tries to sniff, you can do what's called a treat bomb. And I just carry treats, and if a loose dog, we walk, me and the other trainer that works with me, we walk a lot of reactive dogs, and so we carry treats. And if there's a loose dog and we're like, oh, this is not going to go well, we treat bomb the other dog. So we throw a whole handful of treats right in the dog's face, so they stop and they're like, oh, treats, and then they start eating. It works 95% of the time. Then that's going to give you time to get your dog out of there and just say, come on, let's go, and then reward your dog during that time. Treat bomb the dog, tell your dog let's go, move away, and then reward your dog. Even though your dog's only being calm for like 1 or 2 seconds while you treat bomb the other dog, you're still rewarding your dog for like not reacting and moving away with you. Does that make sense? Um, and then hopefully in that time, somebody will notice to call their dog. So treat bombs work really well, especially if you use like hot dogs. If you use like milk bones, the dog's probably going to be like, yeah, I'd rather go sniff your dog. But if you use like hot dogs or cheese or something really yummy and throw it right in their face, a lot of times, like, they'll just stop and be like, oh my gosh, it's raining hot dogs, and they'll start eating the hot dogs. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, you could try like a relaxation protocol, which just teaches dogs how to be calm with increasing distractions. But if your dog doesn't love other dogs coming up and sniffing, then I would allow him to say, you know what, that's not my thing. Um, I'm going to tell you no, and then you are going to move him away and just. Or if you see a loose dog and you know your dog's not going to like it, again, I would just move your dog away and just saying, come on, let's go. And then maybe treat bombing the other dog or something like that. Oh, Nicole, I do that all the time. Oh, let's see, Jenny, Indiana. I heard it's Prime Day, so I can't even get on. Yeah, so you wound up buying a lot of dog training books and they weren't even on sale. That's something I would do. I just bought 2 animal behavior. Like, I'm really into right now ethology, animal behavior, this, science stuff. I'm like a total nerd. Okay. Now I got to go back and. Oh, so Facebook user that's in Los Angeles. Tell me your name again. I'm scrolling back up to see if I can figure out who it is, but it might be easier. if you just, so when you come on, just put your like name, where you're from, so that I have it on one thing. And then after that, when you ask questions, I don't need it. I can just answer your question. Okay, so Lainey, you're the one from Los Angeles? Okay, let me go back up and make sure I didn't skip anybody. Oh, yeah, yeah, came through first as Jennifer. So, yep, I did add you to the drawing. What words do you use when the puppy is doing something wrong, or how do you correct him? Great question. I will use an interrupter like So I don't really use the word no because dogs don't know what that means. I had a client today that he is so set in his ways, and he's always trained his own dogs, but now he got a new puppy, and his daughter actually paid for training sessions with me. And he uses no a lot. But what I pointed out to him is that his dog would stop doing what he was doing, but then he would go right back to doing it. So I like to use like, hey, that's not what we do, but let's do this instead. So the important thing with interrupting is then we have to teach the dog, what do we want you to do? So an example, one time my cat moved, and so this other dog like barked, went to the end of his leash, like wanted to go see the cat. And his owner said no. And his son and I just looked at each other because we've been trying for 5 weeks to get him to stop saying no. So the dog did stop, but then went back to it again. So the way that I made him understand it is when we were younger, my parents used to take us camping and fishing a lot. So if my brother was doing something dangerous, if my dad just said, hey, no, don't do that, to my brother, he's like, but why? It's fun. And he would go back to doing it. If my dad says, hey, don't do that, you're going to get hurt, you're going to get burned, this could happen, why don't you come over here and watch your fishing pole, or let's have you do this instead, then my brother would understand, oh, okay, I can't do that because it's dangerous or whatever reason, and so I do this instead. So whatever you use, again, I use and then redirect. So if it's like biting, then I'll say, oh, you can't bite on me, but here's a toy, you can chew on this all you want. Or I went through this phase with Willie where he was wanting to chew everything wood, coffee tables, books, anything. And so I started to interrupt and redirect, but then he would go back to the table. So I started giving him enrichment boxes, which are just like Capri Sun boxes, cereal boxes, Amazon boxes, Pupford boxes. And I would give those to him to tear up and chew, and he loved it. And I was doing 2 a week. Now we do 1 a week, and he has that outlet, and now he doesn't chew anymore. Like, I mean, he chews stuff I give him, but he doesn't chew the furniture. So just remember to interrupt. You can use anything you want, like again, I try not to use no because it doesn't give the dog information. But what I finally did with this client is like, if you're really set on saying no, use it as an interrupter. Don't think that your dog is going to know what it means, but interrupt, but then redirect. So it's like, let's take my dog jumping. My dog will jump on somebody and I'll say, hey, sit. And then when you sit, then they can say hi and pet you and give you attention. So I'm trying to teach her to sit for attention instead of jumping. The problem is everybody lets her jump and they pet her. So that's why she still continues to jump. That's a great question, though. It's like a bathtub. Oh, yeah, I bet. I like it. I don't like it. My friend will jump in when it's really cold. I have to get used to it like a little bit at a time. But I don't like it if it's too cold. Renee, if anyone is looking to do a DNA test, Wisdom Panel has a 31% discount ending tonight. Oh, awesome. Good to know. I actually wouldn't mind doing one on Willie just to see what he's mixed with. English Bulldog and Pit Bull is what we're guessing. Okay, so Lainey, I have you added. Lainey from LA, and your puppy is Scout. Okay. Jenny, I'm going to come back and answer you, but since I was just answering this one, to be honest, I used no. Yeah, and I mean, sometimes I will say, nope, that is not going to work. But I don't expect the dogs to know what that means. I use it kind of as an interrupter. And if you think about how many times we say no all the time, it just becomes like white noise. So because I don't say nope a lot, I'll say, oh, nope, we don't do that. Here, let's do this instead. So I still use it as kind of an interrupter, and then I redirect. So it's not wrong if you say no. One of my kind of pet peeves is I'll have clients that'll say no bark, no jump. But if the dog doesn't know what jump or bark means, how can they know what no jump and no bark means? Because usually the dogs just keep doing it. And so we can tell that that's really what they're doing is not working. So yeah, whatever you do, just interrupt, redirect. And the enrichment boxes are amazing. We did that at the rescue too. Hang on, I'm going to grab a throat lozenge really quick. I have two identical bags. One has all my music stuff and one has my dog training stuff. So I had to get the one with the lozenges. I should have lozenges in both. After I talked for about an hour, I need, oh, Jade heard the wrapper. So dogs are natural foragers and they like to shred and tear things up. So giving them that outlet, we used to do this at the rescue and dogs loved it. So I also went and volunteered at a wildlife rescue with a friend of mine, and we got to make enrichment boxes for the coyotes, the raccoons, the fox, the skunks. And they loved it. You just take a box. You put different stuff in depending on the animal. For a dog, I will smear like baby food or peanut butter on the bottom, toss in some kibble and treats. Sometimes I'll toss in, like if it's one for Maddie, and I know Maddie loves frozen vegetables, so like carrots, broccoli, and then I just fold it up, and sometimes I'll punch holes with a fork, or if they can smell what's inside, just give it to them, and then let them tear it apart and shred it and get what's inside. But then they get that, like a lot of dogs like to eat bark or wood or just shred stuff. And so it gets that out of their system and they get the yummy stuff inside. They can smell what's inside. One time I had a puppy come and I was just wanting to finish some work. And so I gave him just a cardboard box. It had nothing in it. And he packed that around like he was so proud, and then I let him tear it up. I mean, it is messy, but it takes like 10 seconds to clean up. So, you kind of weigh the pros and cons. Like, yeah, you have to clean it up, but it takes 10 seconds, and my dog's getting so much out of this. And they're not chewing up my furniture or my shoes or something like that, or biting hands. It's worth it. Oh, Kirsten, I think she said, or he said, Brian said, wisdom panel. Yeah, wisdom panel has 31% discount. Oh, glad I went back to look because I missed a question. Jenny, my pup knows the off command, but when company comes over, he doesn't listen. Should I put him in his kennel, or how can I get him to listen when he's excited? So there's a couple things. First, you can kennel him and then ask company to sit down and then bring him out on a leash and teach him how to appropriately meet people by sitting. A lot of times it's training the people too. So when you have company come over, just tell them, look, I'm training my puppy. Please turn your back and ignore my dog until the dog has 4 on the floor or is sitting. So even if your puppy is super excited and he's going to be jumping for attention, if they're like turning their back and totally ignoring, then as soon as he has 4 on the floor, then they say, oh, hey, then they can give him attention. He'll probably start jumping again. And so then they stop, turn around. So when I go in a new client's house, if they have a puppy that's jumping, I ignore them. And some people are probably like, oh my goodness, what kind of trainer is she? She doesn't even like our dog. And they're saying, oh, get down. And I'm like, nope, just let your dog jump. I'm doing this on purpose. So I'm going to ignore so then I explain to them what I'm doing. I'm going to ignore your dog. And then and the dog ends up not getting attention. So they end up sitting and looking at me like, hey, I'm right here. How come you're not paying attention? And as soon as they're sitting, then I pet them, give them treats, say hi. And it does take repetition, but then the dog learns that I sit instead of jump for attention. So yeah, you could do it either way. You could even have your dog like on a lead, tethered to you, so that you can kind of help with that, like sit, and have him like sit and wait, and then okay, now you can go say hi. But a lot of it's going to be training your guests who come over to ignore him until he's got 4 feet on the floor or sitting, and then they can tell him hi. So I'll give you an example. Today, when my mom came over, I think this is where I was going with the my mom came over part. When she came over, Jade was jumping on her. And it has taken me 2 years, and Jade still jumps on people. But it's because everybody lets her. And I said, Mom, I don't want her jumping. And she goes, but I'm grandma. So Jade was jumping. And then later, the dogs were out, and we're watering the lawn. And so the dogs got muddy. So then Jade comes in, and, Maddie can't jump because she's 11. Willie can't jump because of his back legs. So Jade was then trying to jump up to get attention. And my mom's like, oh, I don't want you up here. You got muddy feet. And I said, Mom, you let her jump when she doesn't have muddy feet, but then you don't want her to jump when she does, but she doesn't know the difference. So if you don't want her to jump on you with muddy paws, don't let her jump on you when she doesn't have muddy paws. Does that make sense? So just teaching that dog, like, this is what you do, and teaching the other people There are some places that I just don't take Jade anymore because everybody there loves her and they let her jump. And I'm never going to train her to not jump. Um, like she will listen. I'll say, "Hey, off, sit," and then she will, but then she'll go right back to jumping. So, yeah, it's training the people. Um, Brianna, yes. At one, like sometimes dogs will still go through chewing. Sometimes it can be a boredom thing. But just giving them outlet, and especially, you're going to recycle boxes anyway. So turn them into enrichment boxes and let your dog chew them. It's like best thing ever. Jenny, you use yeah, that works. That totally works. I was training with a veterinarian one time. We were doing service dog training, and she would go and that was kind of her leave it cue. So, when we're walking through stores and expecting our dogs to leave stuff, she would go and I use the word fooey for leave it, which is just German. For the longest time, I didn't know that was an actual German word. When I learned it, I'm like, why do you use fooey? But it's Phoey or something like that. Um, so I would say fooey, and she goes, oh, I'm going to start using that. I like that better than eh. But hey, it worked, and it works. The important thing to remember is that once you interrupt with whatever sound, you got to redirect and then let your dog know what you want them to do instead. Um, okay, so Brian, what I was just talking about with Jade and the jumping, that's how you you have to have people's help in not reinforcing it. And I can tell you from personal experience, that's why my dog still jumps, because everybody's like, oh, she's so cute, she has big ears. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want her to jump. And so um, it's getting them. Now, I do give her an outlet for jumping. So I'll do touch, and I will let her jump up and touch my hand, and then I'll do the other hand. So we do touch, she'll jump and touch my hand, and then I'll reward her. So we turn it into a game where she gets to jump and touch. You can use a target stick. I just happen to have one right here. I'll show you. So, like, I'll put peanut butter on the end of a target stick and have her touch and put it up high so she jumps for it, um, gets to lick it or just touch it, and then let her lick the peanut butter. So I turn it into a game so that she still gets to jump, but only when I cue her to. I've also taught her like up, and I'll go like this up, and then she knows she has permission to jump. But if I say off, then she knows she has to get off. That's with me. I'm still trying to teach her to not jump on other people, but okay. Um, what's Black? I thought Black Friday was like after Thanksgiving. Isn't Black Friday after Thanksgiving and then Cyber Monday is the Monday after that, or is there another one? I'm on Amazon almost every day. I've had to like cut myself off. So, because it's so easy to just look, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. I get, other than my treats, I get all my treats, my snuffle mats, my flirt poles, I get all from Pupford. But um, like other stuff, I get from Amazon. And I don't like to shop. I hate to shop. So Amazon just makes it easy. But yes, you can get carried away. Um, yeah. So Jenny, you can try leashing. And if that doesn't work, crate him and then only let him out when he's calm. But know that when he gets out of the crate, he might go over and then jump on people. to say hi. So at that point, again, you want to be ready with the hey off, you sit, and then tell people to only reward him when he's sitting. So sometimes we do this with dogs that have stranger danger. Like when people come over, they'll crate the dog and then they bring the dog back or out on a leash, but they have company sit down, they give them treats so that then when the dog is coming out or sitting, then they can toss treats to the dog. So you could even give your guest treats and say only treat the dog when he's sitting and not jumping. Is it bad for them to have too many toys? My dog is 9 weeks old and she pulls out every single toy at once, then isn't interested in anything special. I don't think dogs can ever have too many toys. However, I rotate them. So I have a big box and Willie will go and pull them all out and then decide which one he wants to chew on. But I'll usually take, like, we have the big toy box. When I say we, I mean me and the dogs and the cat, not another person. But I will take three toys that I know he really likes, and I'll rotate them. So every day he has his toy box, but then he's got like three in there that are new, like not brand new, but in his mind, it's like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had this. I love this thing. And then he'll want to play with it. So since my dogs like to take their toys outside, in the winter when it snows, in the spring when the snow melts, the dogs are in heaven. They will come packing in something that looks like, oh my gosh, that toy needs to go in the garbage. But they love it because they forgot about it and then they found it. So it's like when I clean a closet or a drawer and I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot I had that. And you get excited about it because you forgot you had it. So that way, it's always something new. So that's why I rotate them. So yeah, you can have as many toys as you want, but just rotating them gives them a little bit of variety, and then they kind of like want to play with it. Okay, Fiorella. So 2 days ago, okay, I can tell this is going to be a good question. I'm kind of reading ahead. We were in an empty park and my dog was off leash and a dog came running towards my dog. My dog let him sniff for a while, then he sat down with his paw lifted. Okay, that's awesome. So what I would do right there is praise your dog and just say, "Oh, good job, good sniff," and just let your dog know. Like, you don't have to use treats right there because we don't know if the other dog, is food aggressive or anything like that. Especially off-leash dogs. So make sure you praise your dog, and then the paw lift could have been a sign of stress, and it's like, okay, now I'm not liking this so much. Then you did great by calling him away, and your dog came towards you. Then the other dog, in my opinion, was rude. The other dog started running around and bumping into him. So I mean, if the owner of the other dog doesn't have a good recall or is letting their dog do that, I would almost correct the other dog and say, hey, that's rude. You're not going to do that to my dog. It's like I have to do that with puppies that are here that try to hump my dogs incessantly. I'll teach them an off, and my dogs are super patient with puppies, and so I'll say, even if my dogs don't correct them right away, I'll say, hey, we don't do that here. And then I'll start to teach an off. But if the other dog is like running around and bumping into your dog, then that's rude behavior, in my opinion. And I would say, hey, we don't do, that's not nice. And you don't have to yell, it's just more your tone. And then say something like, if you know where the owner is, say, hey, could you call your dog, please? Something like that. When I was about to put a leash on my dog after giving him a treat, the other dog appeared next to us. My dog lunged at the dog many times, and the dog would not move. So at that point, was your dog on leash yet? Because some dogs are more reactive when they're on a leash because they don't have the ability to move away. And it could be that by that time your dog was just like over it and like wanted that dog to leave. And it looks like this other dog doesn't know how to pick up on social skills because didn't move away from a paw lift. And let's see, it took a while for the owner to take her dog. Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's like your dog is giving the other dog a correction. And I think your dog did great. Like, allowed the sniffing, did a paw lift, moved away. The other dog kept pursuing, did some body slams, and then wouldn't move. And so, and I'm not sure because I don't know your dog, I'm not sure if when you gave your dog a treat, if does your dog like, is your dog at all food aggressive, or could your dog have been like resource guarding the treats or you or something like that, or was your dog on leash at that time? But yeah, so your dog is still giving like a correction, and so I would just at that point get the leash on and say, come on, let's go, we're going this way, and then get your dog focused on you, move away. And you know, if you have to say, hey, can you grab your dog, then that's what you do. But happily, like getting your dog. So I was walking a dog once, and we were walking by an off leash dog park. This one's not fenced in. And these two, we used to go and like practice the engage disengage at like from a big distance. And if it looked like a dog was running towards us, I had plenty of time and space to get away. But one time, these two big dogs came running at us and were circling around us. And I didn't have time to do a treat bomb, but I just said, you know, it's fine. Just stay calm. Come on, let's go. And the other owners of the two other dogs were actually trying to get their dog and couldn't. But really, nothing happened. I mean, the dog that I was walking lunged at him a few times, but the dogs were like circling us and wouldn't. And I was trying to just say, come on, let's go. Everything's good. Let's just go. And I was just trying to walk away, and I did, and nothing bad happened. The owners apologized and said, oh, I'm so sorry about my dog. But yeah, I think the best thing you can do is just stay calm, try to redirect your dog and go the other way. And then let the owner worry about getting their dog. And then, yes, you can do a treat bomb. Try a treat bomb next time and see if it works. I've only had one client tell me that it didn't work. Okay, so that's good to know, Fiorella, that he wasn't on leash yet. So that it's not just a leash thing. I'll answer Brian's. Do other dog owners get upset at you when you try to correct their dog? No. I can see some people doing that, but if I'm, let's say I don't go to dog parks, but I have gone with clients before. If a dog is being rude or isn't being appropriate, and if I say, hey, we don't hump. If somebody got mad at me for saying that, I would say, okay, well, then you need to be on top of it and don't let your dog hump other dogs. So that's what I would come back with. But yeah, I haven't had anybody personally get mad at me for correcting. When I say correcting, I just mean a verbal like, hey, we're not going to do that. that kind of thing. But you could always come back with, well, excuse me, but I didn't want my dog to attack your dog, and your dog was being rude or inappropriate. So maybe you should have a better recall on your dog so this doesn't happen. Put it back on them. Okay. I'm kind of jumping around a bit, so let me make sure I didn't skip anybody. Yeah, that's what I thought. Is it Black Friday's after Thanksgiving? Oh, Jenny, yes. So my first cat was my office cat at the rescue, and he was a sanctuary cat, which meant they weren't going to adopt him out. He had diabetes and hyperthyroid, and he was on insulin. And I did not want him to die at a shelter. And he loved me. He would come and, like, one time I took a weekend off, and the staff said that he spent the whole time like laying on my chair. So I brought him home, but my dogs have never lived with a cat. So I got that for his safety, so they could get used to each other. And then he ended up dying. And then I got a new cat, and she has learned how to go through the dog door. And I live on a highway, so cats don't live long on my street. And she's such a good cat. I don't want her to go outside. She gets to go outside, but she has a harness and a leash, because I don't want her to get hit. So when the dog door is open for the dogs, she's in her kennel, or in her condo. I call it a condo. And then when she comes out, the dog door has to be closed so that she can't get out. So it's awesome. This is actually used to be my dining room. And since I'm single and I never ate at the table, I got rid of it and turned it into an office. So, like, all my training books, all my, like, essential oils, and the cat and Willie's crate. And so clients come to me, and it works out great. So I now have a space for my living room, or my dining room, that I never used anyway. But yeah, this is awesome. And Jenny, I don't know if you do this, but I actually have the litter box on the bottom because my dogs love to eat cat poop. So the litter box is on the bottom, and I have one of those self-scooping ones, and then you just change the box. And so the dogs can't get to the poop. The cat has a safe place to go, and the food is on the top shelf, so my dogs can't jump up and eat her food either. So it works awesome. Yes, you'll love a toy box and rotate them. Oh, that's a good question. How can I correct the other dog without my dog thinking that I'm correcting him? I have to think about that. I think if you orient yourself towards the other dog, because, like, if a puppy is humping my dog, I'll say, hey, we don't hump. And then I'll do an off, or I'll just lightly grab the collar and pull the dog off. Then my dogs pretty much know that I'm correcting the puppy who is trying to hump them. But if you, like, orient towards the other dog and say, hey, go home, go on, then, you're orienting toward that other dog. Also, another thing you could do, Fiorella, is teach your dog a get behind. And that basically means that your dog goes behind you and sits, and that puts your dog in a place of safety. And then you can shoo the other dog away and just say, go on, go home. I saw a really good video on, I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram, but this lady was walking her German Shepherd, that was very reactive but was walking in a leashed area. This other lady had her doodle off leash, and the doodle came running up to the shepherd, and the lady with the shepherd was just like go on, get out of here. And the doodle was like backing up. Her dog was reacting, and the owner of the doodle was trying to get her dog. And the lady was like apologizing, and she goes, "That's why I walk here. Your dog's supposed to be on leash." But she was like orienting herself towards that other dog and just like, yelling at the other dog, like, "Go on, get out of here." But she had a reactive German Shepherd, and she didn't want it to end bad for the doodle. So I don't think at that point, like, the doodle or the shepherd thinks that the owner's yelling at him. So my best answer would be to just orient yourself, look at the other dog. Like, if you're not looking at your dog directly and your, body isn't directly at your dog, but is at the other dog, then I think your dog is going to know you're correcting the other one and not him, because you're not focusing on yours. The way I teach a get behind, actually, I think I can just show you with Jaders really quick. Okay. Hey, Jade. So I'll start with a come front, and then I have a treat. Whoops, can you see Jade? So I'm going to lure her behind me. Hey, sit. Oh, back here. Sit. Oh, she's trying to do a center. That's why she's... Hey, come back. Sit. Yes. So it puts her back here. Now she's in a spot of safety, and then you can deal with the other dog. Behind. See, I taught her to do a center, which is go through my legs. You can do this too. And then you have your dog here safe, and you can like tell the other dog to go away. Thanks, Jade. So I haven't really done a get behind with Jade because she's not reactive, but I do that a lot with reactive dogs. However, I have taught her center. So just when I was trying to get her to go behind, she was like trying to push through my legs, because it's like, wait, I always like stand different. But that's how I do it, is I lure him around and then ask him to sit. And then I'll work on duration. Like, okay, now stay behind me. You can quick feed your dog treats. You can use like baby food packets that you can just feed your dog, which again can sometimes not be good if there's a loose dog that sees, oh, she's got food and treats. But if your dog is reactive, it's usually coming from a place of anxiety and fear. And so putting them behind you puts them in a position of safety and lets them know that you've got it, you're handling it. And then you can even turn your body to keep you in between the other dog and your dog. So like if I have Jade behind me, if I have to turn and shoo the other dog off, I'm keeping my dog safe behind me, and I can like try and stand between the two dogs until the owner comes. You can also carry stuff like one technique we learned was an umbrella. So if you open up an umbrella and just keep it between, like in the face of the other dog, and move with the dog, like anything that you can put between your dog and the other dog will work. You could grab, old days we could grab a garbage can lid, but now they don't make those kind of garbage cans anymore. So some people carry umbrellas, just anything you can put in between your dog. But maybe teach your dog to go behind you and sit, or even go do a center like Jade did, and then put your dog in a position of like safety, and then you can tell the other dog to get out of here. Jenny, yeah, Litter box, unfortunately, she is either in her kennel or in my room because she's very aggressive to my other 3 cats. Yeah. That's what I would do. I only have 1 cat, and luckily all my dogs have a very healthy respect for cats thanks to Raisin. Even though he was an old, feeble 18-year-old man, he would hiss or swat at the dogs. And so even though I have pit bulls, they're like, okay, we will give you your space. So now I have a cat that is really good with dogs and likes the dogs. And they live together. They don't really play or anything like that, but I just always like to have a safe place for the cat to go and to eat and to go to the bathroom without the dogs getting into it. Okay. Any more questions? We'll do a drawing. This was a great group tonight, you guys. I'm happy to have new people. I always love the regulars coming back. Oh, Joan. So Joan just joined. Joan, tell me where you're from, and I'll hurry and enter you in the drawing. I'm just getting all my little papers ready. Virginia. Awesome. My brother lives in Virginia. I think he did live in Sterling, but he bought a new house, and I don't know if he's still in Sterling or if he's somewhere different. But yes, beautiful state you have. I don't like it in the summer. It's too humid. But I went for Thanksgiving once and loved it. We got to hike part of the Appalachian Trail, and it was amazing. Shenandoah National Park, like, you have some beautiful mountains there. Okay, let's do a drawing. So tonight's winner is Jenny Brown from Indiana. So congratulations, Jenny. You are going to email hello@pupford.com and let him know what kind of training treats you want. If you haven't used them before, they look like this. They have chicken, beef liver, sweet potato, rabbit, and salmon. So you can try a free bag. That's all I use. I love their treats. And usually I can turn, all my clients always say, oh, what treats are you using? My dogs love them. And they're only 1 calorie per treat. So thank you for sending a picture of your dog. I will look at it because I'm really curious. And I had a dog named Buddy. He was a Cocker Spaniel, though. He was I was a teenager when we got him. And then when I got married, I took him with me. So he's been gone a long time. Anyway, okay, thank you guys for joining. And this has been a great Q&A session. I'll see you next Wednesday. I'm assuming, I have to look. It's probably going to be Wednesday again. And I might even try 5:30 again because this would seem to be a good time for everybody. Oh, Brian, good. I'm glad you sent me a picture. I know that I looked up a Patterjack Terrier once, but now I can't remember because I have over 50 brain. So I don't remember 2 days ago. So yes, feel free to send me pictures of your dogs. If you have other training questions, I'm on here once a week to answer, or you can always email me. My email, I think I typed this. See, I already forgot. Tracy@pupford.com. For the treats, Jenny, you want to email hello@pupford.com and they will get them sent out to you. So for Virginia, that would be 7:30. So 7:30 for Virginia, 5:30 Mountain Time. So 6:30 Central, 4:30 Pacific Time. I do try and alter the times just to kind of accommodate the different time zones. But if there's a time that most people can jump on, then I try to do that. Just answer as many questions as I can. So, okay, you guys have a great rest of your week and weekend, and I will see you next week.